Okay, let me just make sure we're good. Okay, perfect. We're great. All right, everybody. Well, I want to introduce you to the world's #1 motivational speaker today, Les Brown. He's a good friend of mine, and I asked him as a favor if he would come on and kick off our very first encouragement call. And so, Les, I'm gonna turn it over to you and have you share whatever you'd like to share. You're of all the people that I could have kick this off, Les, you're my first choice. I'm so thrilled that you made the decision to join me today. You've just been a huge encouragement for me, and so I'm gonna turn it over to you.
Well, thank you so much, and I appreciate that. You know, Eric, the last time you saw me, my PSA, which stands for prostate-specific antigen, was 2,400, and cancer had metastasized to 7 areas of my skeletal frame, to the bone. And I had just left a doctor that I had to see, an oncologist, and I fired him on that particular day because he did just the opposite of what you're doing and in terms of giving people encouragement. He said to me, according to clinical studies, he said, I know you're involved in that positive, motivational, positive thinking stuff. He said, but your chances of survival are probably just a few months. And when I expressed to him that he determines the diagnosis, only God determines the prognosis, he literally got angry with me, like, you don't question science-based evidence. So I had to let this fool go. I said, I'm lying. We don't have anything to talk about. Okay. So first of all, I want to congratulate you on the work that you're doing, and in fact, that now, since that time to this time, I was at Ohio State University, and they put me in the MRI, and for 3.5 hours, then I had a CAT scan, and they said, Mr. Brown, we don't know what you're doing. Number one, your PSA is now 0, and 2, that you have no cancer in your bones, and you only have involvement in one area. And so this neurosurgeon said, we're not going to do anything because the tumor in that area is supporting your T1 vertebrae, and oddly enough, it's producing a bone that supports that. That's not the purpose of it, but it's doing it. So we're not going to do anything at all. And just you come back every 4 to 6 weeks. And the reason I'm saying this, that now more than ever, people need to have a spirit of knowingness and optimism and begin to claim what they want and focus on the possibilities rather than the distractions or the assumptions, be it somebody with a white coat on with a stethoscope around their neck. I don't believe that people should be told they're terminally ill. I think they should be told that my ability to help you has terminated. Now you need to do something else. And so I want all of you that are on this call to think about some major goal that you want to achieve. My major goal over the last few months was to be cancer-free. That was my major goal, because you can't motivate nobody if you're not here. and around my mother's birthday, which was November the 6th, my great grandson, my first great grandson, was born on her birthday, and I dreamed about Mama that night, and she came to me in a dream and said, well, let me seem like you miss me real bad, so it look like you about to come see me real soon. I woke up right away and said, no, Mama, I'm ready to see you now. I miss you, baby, but I got too much work to do. So I want everybody to think about some major goal that you want to achieve. Mine was to have the level of health that I have right now so that I can continue to do the work that I'm doing. Mine is now training and developing speakers. My goal is to train 100,000 voices of hope. These individuals, just ordinary people who have stories that can give people hope. I think when there's hope in the future that gives you power in the present, there's something wrong. And the United States of America, which I consider the greatest country on the planet, when, according to the Center for Disease and Control, more people died from suicide last year than from traffic accidents. Something is wrong with that. And I think that part of what's contributing to that is the level of cynicism and hopelessness that people have, and that we have too many negative voices out there. I think that television is contributing a great deal to the cynicism and negative mindset. And so I think that what you are doing, Eric, is very important. My goal is to train 100,000 voices of hope, ordinary people, teach them how to be strategic and experiential in telling their story that will give people hope and give people methods and techniques how to live their dreams, how to build their business, how to reach their goals, and how to create communities of supportive, positive, achievement-driven relationships, supportive, positive, achievement-driven relationships. So I want you to think about some goal that you like to achieve right now. And one of the things that I want you to do is write this down, that it's possible. That if anybody had told me, given my circumstances, being born in an abandoned building on a floor in a poor section of Miami, Florida called Liberty City, and being adopted, being labeled educable mentally retarded at Douglas Elementary School in Overtown, and put back from the 5th grade to the 4th grade, failing again when I was in the 8th grade, and no college training. If anybody told me that just in the last 6 weeks, I've been on 4 continents, and I'm going to Sweden in 2 weeks, I'm going to China, I'm going to India this year, I'm going to Indonesia, I'm going back to Johannesburg, South Africa, and back to Singapore and Malaysia and Amsterdam. I had no idea that this life that I'm now living, and I don't say this to impress you, but to impress upon you that you have something special. You have greatness within you. And I know you've done things that you feel good about and that you're proud of, but I suggest to you that what you've done is only the tip of the iceberg, and that you really want to deliberately raise the bar on yourself. I had one of the most blessed days of my life when I spent a day with Port Laureate Maya Angelou. She spoke recently in Atlanta. Maya is now 86. And my daughter talked about the fact that she came in a wheelchair and she had an oxygen tank back up the stage. And after she was speaking and they started taking pictures and she left the stage, they rolled off the stage, she went and she got some oxygen, and then she went out and she started asking questions. And my daughter called me and said, "Dad, you know, that's what you mean about live full, die empty," that she could decide, I'm going to just stay home and just wait it out, take over me. But Maya, I remember when I was talking to her about her photographic memory, when I would start different quotes and she would complete the quote. She told me about when she met Langston Hughes, and she said that she described the color of socks that he had on that day, the level of detail. I remember there's an obscure quote that says, "Many a flower has bloomed unceasingly and wasted sweetness upon the cold desert air." And she said that's the soliloquy of a man standing in a graveyard. No one I had ever mentioned that quote to was able to tell me the context and the place of where that particular quote came from. And so, but here this woman at 86, mind still sharp, still giving lectures, still making a difference, still writing, still building her legacy, still making her mark. I remember one day I was in Orlando, and my daughter called me, Ona, who's a speaker, and she said, "Dad, I got some time right now." I said, "What's happening?" She said, "Well, there's a traffic policeman stopping the traffic. Something is coming along." And then she said, "Oh, wow." I said, "What is it? Is there an accident?" She said, "No. Our hearse just came through the light, and there was only 2 cars behind it." She said, "When I die, I want there to be a long procession of cars because of the impact of my life. When I die, Dad, I want people to come out. I want people to celebrate my life. I want the undertaker to cry because I was able to make a difference for him." And I believe that the reason that you're on this call, I don't know you, I can't even see you, But I believe that we're cut from the same cloth, that we're branches of the same tree. There's something in you, in your heart of hearts, as you look out at the world, as you look at your situation, as you look at your circumstances, that you've said to yourself, this just can't be it. And that's what I said. When the doctors looked at me at Florida Hospital, there was something in me that said, don't buy into this. There's a quote I read once that said, life is a fight for territory. And once you stop fighting for what you want, what you don't want will automatically take over. And so as you start thinking about what is it that you want, what is it that you want to achieve in your personal life? My first personal goal was to buy my mother home. I'm adopted, and I was one of 7 kids that she adopted. She worked on Miami Beach cleaning the homes of wealthy people, and we ate the food left over from the families that she cooked for. They were very kind and generous people. They said, Mamie, whatever food is left over after we eat, you can take it home to those 7 children that you adopted. And we wore the hand-me-down clothes of the children that she kept. And I used to walk around these big, beautiful mansions and say, Mama. And she said, what is it, Leslie? One day, I'm going to buy you something just like this. I feel like Abraham Lincoln, who said, all that I am and all that I ever hope to be, I owe to my mother. And I did before she passed. I took care of her. She was a 22-year breast cancer conqueror. She passed at 89, and I bought her 4 different homes. The last one was a 10,000 square foot home that had a 12-foot deep swimming pool on a golf course, basketball court. She could play golf or basketball. I can't even. She liked the house. I remember when I was driving in the neighborhood, and she said, Leslie, if I lived in something like that, I would feel like Mrs. Rockefeller. Well, I drove her down that road deliberately, hoping that that home would catch her eye. And I'll never forget the day that I brought her back and said, Mama, I think I know the people who live here. She said, you do? I said, yes. I said, let's stop by there and let's go in and look at the house. They're very good friends of mine. And Mom, at that time, she was around 74, 75, and we drove up to the house, and I went around, and I opened the door, and she grabbed my arm, and as we were approaching the house, she looked at me, she stopped. She said, boy, you sure you know these people? I said, yes, well, Mama, I do. We were up at North Miami Beach. And I got to the door, and I couldn't conceal it anymore, the emotion I felt and how excited I was. And I put the key in the door, and I turned it. I said, Mrs. Rockefeller, this is your home. And I opened the door, and she said, what are you talking about, Leslie? I said, Mama, this is yours. And she stuck her head at the door and said, is anybody home? I said, nobody's here, Mama, but you and me. It's all furnished. This is yours. And just seeing her walk around the house. Mom only had a 3rd grade education. She adopted 7 kids. I was among them. And she was raised by herself, by her father. Mother died when she was very young. And to see her walking from room to room saying, thank you, Jesus. No one would have ever told me something like this would ever happen to me. And she said, Leslie, you were so crazy as a child. I said, I know, but I'm rich now. So as you think about the goals and dreams that you want to achieve, think about to do something special for, and I'm going to share with you how you can do that. And then I want you to think about your financial goals. Hello?
Yeah, Les, I want to ask you a quick question here, okay?
Yes, first of all, am I going over?
You're perfect. You can go all night, Les. One thing I will absolutely not do is pull you off the stage. You go as long as you want. But there's something that some people listening, they probably don't know about you. And, you right now are the world's leading motivational speaker. And when you got the first thought in your mind that you were going to branch off and become a professional speaker, there was a period of time before you fully acted on that. There was maybe some fear that came up, and maybe you could just speak to what happened when you had the initial thought to go out and do it, and then how much time passed. Because I think that there's some people listening right now that they have a dream they want to pursue, but they're holding back. And so could you just share about that?
Oh, would love to do it. First of all, thank you so much for your compliment. one of the little scrubs out here among these giants of speakers. I think that Tony Robbins is the number one speaker on the planet now that Zig Ziglar is gone. And before Zig, there was Dr. Norman Vincent Peale. I'm not on that level. I'm more, my gifting is in training speakers. That's what I've been doing here with, we have a friend, Stephen Sapini, here with the Malibu Mastermind, training entrepreneurs how to be the voice of their business and how to discover their power voice and use their signature story to develop a global imprint and earn 7 figures. I didn't do this for 14 years because I just could not see how could I, even though I loved it when I went to see Dr. Norman Vincent Peale and Zig Ziglar and Jim Rohn and Tom Peters, I just couldn't see how I could compete with people with PhDs and MBAs and years of corporate experience, how I could create a demand for myself, and I get over 3,000 requests a year, how people would, corporations like IBM, Xerox, AT&T, McDonald's Corporation, they just spoke for them recently, and Procter & Gamble spoke for them 3 months ago. I'm speaking for Coldwell Banker on Tuesday in San Diego, California on this coming Tuesday. I didn't see that I could create enough impact for these corporations to hire me to come and to do something I've never done and earn more in an hour than 90% of the American public earn working for a whole year. And that's why to think about something you want to do, I want you to say that it's possible. There's some things that you can't say, I can do that, and be in integrity or without hyping yourself up. But for 14 years, when I was preparing to think about talking to you tonight, that's the easy part, talking to you right now. But what took me years to do was to believe that I can do it. And I hear people say if they had to live their life over again, they would not change anything. I would. There are people who died who should have heard my voice, and they did not, because I had a fear-driven life. I had a life that I felt inferior because I don't have a college education, and I didn't have any paper behind my name. And I had a friend named Ruel Boxell who said something to me one day. He says, Les, God does not call those who are qualified. He qualified those that he called. And so I allowed fear and the tremendous inferiority complex of being labeled educable, mentally retarded to hold me back. And Mike Williams, he's my mentor for 44 years. I would like for you to go on Amazon and get his book called The Road to Your Best Stuff. And he said, Brownie? I said, yes. I was at WVKL radio station. He said, Brownie, you are more than a disc jockey. And he knew I love radio. I love radio, and I'm good at it. You put me on a radio station in any city, and I can turn it upside down. I was LB Triple P, Les Brown, your platter playing papa. There were none before me, and there will be none after me. Therefore, that makes me the one and only. Young and single and love to mingle, certified, bona fide, and indubitably qualified to bring you satisfaction and a whole lot of action. Look out, baby, I'm your love man. I'm hungry. So anyhow, my medication went off. Okay, I'm going to be good. I'm going to be good, Eric. So anyhow, but this side, and this is something I want to suggest that you do. Get somebody in your life that can see what you can't see. He saw this, Les Brown. I wrote the foreword to his book. When his daughter called me, I cried like a baby. And she said, why are you crying like this? I said, your father wanted me to write the foreword to his book. She said, yes. I said, just think, if I did not meet your father at Champion Junior High School on that day, I would have died with this Les Brown in me. I would have died with this voice in me. And that was frightening to me. And that's why I'm so passionate and so driven and convicted and determined about convincing people. Don't put it off. Don't pay attention and focus on what you don't have. Work on what you do have. What you have is enough. Get started. You don't have to get started to be great. but you don't have to be great to get started, but you have to get started to be great. And I was talking to a young man that I'm going to be working with, and I'm looking for 21 proteges, and this guy came up to me and he said, "Do you think I can do what you do?" And I said, "Think? I know." And he started giving me a litany of reasons of why he could not do that. I said, "You better hope I win this conversation." And I remember I had the same conversation with Mike Williams. The phone went dead. I called him back. I said, "We lost the signal." He said, "We didn't lose the signal." I said, "What happened?" He said, "I hung up on you." I said, "Why would you do that?" He said, "Brownie, you're telling me why you can't speak for corporations. You're telling me that you don't have a college education and that no corporation is going to hire me without recommendations or a track record of achievement. You said when you argue for your limitations, you get to keep them." I said, "Okay, Mike, please talk to me. Don't listen to me. Talk to me. I'll be quiet. Talk to me." And he saw what I couldn't see. The other thing is you got to be a risk taker. As you look at your life and look at your goals, you're going to win some, you're going to lose some. And life, I think, it's about raising the bar. It's about getting outside of your comfort zone. It was Brian Tracy, he calls it the danger zone. It's about challenging yourself and being willing to die to who you've been to give birth to who you must become. You have something special. You have greatness within you. And when you're pursuing your greatness, you don't know what your limits are, so you act like you don't have them. I think that cancer, in my particular case, that it's a project to be worked on. It's a journey. And I've learned a lot about myself. I learned a lot about life. And I've learned that a lot of people who owe you money, they won't call you much because they don't want you to survive. You're not going to need any money where you going, buddy.
Okay, Les, I want to jump in, Les. I want to ask you another question. This is a real important one, okay?
Go ahead.
All right. So there's some people they're listening right now, and they're stuck in their story. And they're different stories. You know, somebody's listening right now, and they got divorced, and they're still pissed off at their ex-wife or their ex-husband, and they're living in that story. There's somebody listening right now, and they got a health challenge, and they're saying, "Why me?" and they're upset about it.
Okay, let me deal with the why me.
Yep.
Why not you? You know, what would you suggest? The doctor told me I had cancer that had metastasized my body. I said, "Can you give me a second opinion?" He said, "Yes." I said, "You're ugly too." So the thing is this, that life, you got to suck it up. My favorite book says, "Think it not strange that you're faced the fiery furnaces of this world." You will, not you might, you will face tribulations. The other thing in terms of relationships, I'm in Vegas. You know, my former wife is Gladys Knight. And, you know, I'm no longer on that midnight train. So, you know, the thing is this, let go or be dragged. There's some things you have got to let go. I read something once, and I love it. It says, in life, you will always be faced with a series of God-ordained opportunities, brilliantly disguised as problems and challenges. And I look at my life, everything, the cancer, the divorce, of losing the first home that I purchased for my mother, going through foreclosure, the embarrassment of going back to Liberty City, unloading the truck, my mother coming on the side of the truck. "Leslie, what's wrong with you?" "Mama, I feel so stupid. I let you down." "Leslie, stop crying, boy. Hold your head up." And she put her hand under my chin and she pushed my head up. "Hold your head up and take that furniture in the house. We still have each other." And when we got in the house, I remember the roaches said, "Mamie's back. We go have sweet potato pie." Oh, my God. Man, do you know, in 45 days, Eric, I can't even tell you the guy's name who sold me the house, and I did not. It was my first home that I purchased, and I didn't do a title search, and my attorney begged me to do it. But this guy said, "Look, the only reason I'm selling this house is because you want to take care of your adopted mother. I respect you for that. I've got to leave Miami and go back to Philadelphia. I've got 3 people ready to buy this house right now at a higher price, but I'm giving you a break, buddy. And I said, are there any loans in the house or liens? He said, no. I said, I believe you. And she said, okay. And she dropped the pen. She couldn't even give it to me in my hand. And I trusted him, and I signed. And 30 days later, we got a notice that the house was going up for sheriff's sale. And that was one of the most devastating times in my life. And what I had to do, and I encourage everybody, what you focus on the longest becomes the strongest. I had to get his name out of my mind because I was angry, and anger blows out the lamp of the mind. I had to figure out, now what, so what? What am I going to do now? And so I had to focus my mind on how I can create speaking opportunities and seminars and to rebuild and start all over again. I would go to the drugstore and look at the covers of magazines like Self and Entrepreneur and Success magazine to find titles, and I would speak on those titles because I knew that they did focus groups to come up with titles that would cause people to purchase those particular magazines. And I began to build my speaking like that. And I remember Mike said, Les, you got a story. I said, a story? He said, yes. He said, tell me one of the defining moments in your life. I said, I got a lot of them. He said, but how did you get in radio? I said, went to WMBM radio station and I asked Mr. Milton Butterball for a job, and he told me they didn't have any job. And I left, and he said, what'd you do then? I came back the next day. And what happened? They told me no. And he said, what'd you do then? I came back the next day. And he said, why did you do that? I said, Mr. Washington told me, he said, most people are so negative, they have to say no 7 times before they say yes. He said, if you want to make it, Les Brown, you got to be hungry. People that are hungry are willing to do the things today others won't do in order to have the things tomorrow others won't have. Make no your vitamin. You've got to be unstoppable. And so I went back a 3rd day, and he said, Les, that's your story. I said, why? What? How you became a disc jockey. That shows that you were relentless. You were unstoppable, man. He said, that's your story. I said, somebody's going to pay me to tell them how I became a disc jockey? Let me tell you something. I've earned over $64 million telling that story. And 1 month, Eric, a major pharmaceutical company paid me $640,000 to train 35 doctors how to communicate with their patients to increase their taking of their medication, the hypertension medication. And every time I went to work with these doctors, they all said, would you tell the story on how you became a disc jockey? Isn't that interesting? Stories are fascinating. So everybody that's listening, you have the power to write a new script. You have the power. You're the author. You are writing a script right now. You can write the same script, or you can write yourself out of the script. Every day we have the power to do what Mother Teresa said, and that is to become a pencil in the hand of God and start writing a new chapter in your life rather than recycling the life that you're now living. Every day is a fresh new day. Just 8 days ago, when at Florida or Ohio State University, they gave me the best news that I've received in 19 years. I've been battling with cancer for 19 years. I've still been speaking, still training speakers, still doing seminars and workshops. And on that day when I left Florida Hospital just about 8 or 10 days ago is the first time that after having 238 radiation seed implants, after having Lupron and having hot flashes and gaining weight, the first time after having Vicodin and Percocet and pain patches on my back from the pain of the cancer, for the first time I walked out of Ohio State University Hospital with no pain and without the threat or the stress that cancer was in my body consuming me, and that I had to have a regimen to fight that without that pressure on my mind. I went home and slept for 13 and a half hours. Sometimes you don't even know how stressed you are until something is lifted off of you. And I can tell you, it is no accident that you're listening to me right now. It's no accident of all the people that Eric sent out an email and did a blast that you are listening to me right now. There's some of you that hear me in your ears, but there's some of you, and you know who you are. You can feel me in your heart. There's something that's saying to you right now at the cellular level, yes, I'm with you. I'm there. I know what you mean. I got through some stuff. Yes, I know. You're right. You're on it. And I'm saying to you, Kevin Costner said this. He said there are moments in your life that either you define the moment or the moment defines you. And I said, as I looked at my grandson, I said, he's going to know me. There's work. He will not just hear about his grandfather. He's going to know me. And I'm suggesting to you, find your reason for being. My mentor said, Les, he said, if you are just trying to survive, if you just want to live, he said, that's one thing. He said, what will be different in this world because you live? He said, you need a cause bigger than you. Nietzsche said, if you know the why for living, you can endure almost anyhow. And so I got a work to do. There's something that I'm supposed to, I believe that God has given me grace so that I can do something amazing with my life. When I went to Poland and I went to Auschwitz and I wanted to go, I wanted to see Anne Frank's house. I wanted to go to the camps because I read Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor Frankl, and I was traumatized looking at the pictures of Jews that were marched into these showers. They were told there were going to be showers, and they were gas chambers, and then they would gas them, and they had a crematory right out the room. But when we walked in these showers, they turned the lights out. And all I could think about was Sam Axelrod, who's one of my first mentors. We were on Miami Beach, and I was 10 years old, and they had these signs on Miami Beach that said Jews, the N-word, and dogs. They said dogs, Jews, and the N-word not allowed. They had dogs first, then they had Jews, then they had Negroes not allowed. And I remember when Sam said, Leslie, yes. When we went to go to a restaurant, I said, he guys said, we don't serve kites. You Jews get out here, and you get out of here. You know we don't serve your kind. And I remember when Sam was a very short guy, and I sold television sets for him, and I was also his security, and he said, Leslie, he said, this is a usable world, and if you don't use it in the right way, it's a cruel world. He said, there are a lot of ignorant people in this world. He said, the best revenge, and he quoted Frank Sinatra, he said, the best revenge is massive success. Find something you love, Leslie, and do that. Master that, and that will be your key out of Liberty City and Overtown. That will be your key out of the ghetto and a life of poverty, Leslie. And every day I want to give you a nugget. And he would come in to the car, and he had other people in this van, this station wagon, and he would say, always strive to get on top in life because it's the bottom that's overcrowded. You don't get in life what you want, you get in life what you are. He was a protege of Earl Nightingale and Dr. Norman Vincent Peale. That's how I found out about Jim Rohn and all these other guys, Glenn Turner and Dare to Be Great. And he taught me, he said, you don't get in life what you want, you get in life what you are. Saturate your mind with positive material. I encourage all of you. Part of my goal of beating cancer, I laugh a lot. I don't listen to negative stuff. I don't watch television. I would love to see the movie 12 Days a Slave, but I know that's going to pull up too much stuff for me, and it's going to trigger some emotions that's unhealthy for me emotionally. So I watch Groucho Marx. I've got Jimmy Durante stuff. I watch I Love Lucy. I watch stuff that will make me laugh. Taxi, things that will make me cry. Oh, Richard Pryor stuff. I'm deliberately programming myself for health, for peace of mind, for making a difference and making my mark. I listen to Jim Rohn every day. I listen to Earl Nightingale. I listen to many of the speakers that I've trained who are now speaking into my life. I have a young boy that I just finished doing recording for, and he has autism. And so his mother, she calls me, and I leave recordings for him. And so many of my speakers do it, and we speak to his mind that she plays this as she gets ready to go to sleep at night. Austin, you have something special. You have greatness within you. And she said, why do you think I should do that? I said, this is how I program my mind. And she wears T-shirts called Believe. I got one of her T-shirts, and I'm helping her raise funds. She quit her school. She came to the school one day, and the teacher's back was her, and she was to her, and the teacher was pointing at her son who has autism, said, they don't pay me enough to teach this how to read. And she said, rather than get angry, and rather than go to the principal's office and report that teacher, she got her son, she quit her job, and she started word-to-word, word-to-mouth marketing, selling T-shirts called Believe. She said, I believe my son will be able to read one day. I believe my son will be able to talk one day. And that's just like a dream. And I told people, and I use her as an example of a dream. I said, she believed, Terry believed. I said, you got to believe in your dream. And one day, after working for weeks, for months, he never said a word. And one day, after working with him for 5 hours, I said, you're going to be working on your dream, and you won't be able to see the light at the end of the tunnel. You're going to face rejection after rejection. You're going to ask people to come to meetings. They say, oh, yes, you can count on me, and they won't show up. And you want to feel like you have to give up because it's useless and you were crazy to leave your job. But there's something in you that says, don't quit, give it another shot. And this is what she did. She just kept working with her son. He never made a sound, and finally, one day she got up after 5 hours and sweating to go back in the room and lay on the bed, and he said, Mama. And she turned around. She said, what did you say? He said, Mama. She wasn't even working with him on saying mama. She's working on him to say cat and bat and night and morning, simple words, dog. He said, Mama. And when I was doing the story, I said, sometimes your dream will call your name. Come on, Doc. He said, Mama. And I said, she didn't give up. She didn't give up. And so every day you see Terry, she's got a dress with believe on there. She believes, and she sells X number of T-shirts every day somewhere in Vegas. And that's how she takes care of herself. That's how she's made herself teaching him at home, and now he can hold a conversation. Now, school, he's writing, he's reading, and he's living a practically normal life with autism because she had a dream of her son being able to be successful, being able to live a normal life. And I'm saying when you have a dream, it's going to be frustrating, and you're going to have setbacks and disappointments. I remember showing up at a speaking engagement, and a guy looked at me and he said, you're not Les Brown, the band of renown? And I said, no, I'm not. And it was time for me to go on stage to speak. And he pointed. He says, there's the microphone. And he walked away. I mean, it was shocking. I'll never forget. It was in Wildwood, Florida, and they'd never had an African-American speaker. And when I went out on the stage, people were talking and conversations. When I went out on stage, everything went silent. And I was saying, oh, my God. I knew I could feel the hostility and the anger and the hatred. And I remember seeing little lanterns with little black lanterns. They had little candles and little Sambo fixtures all over the city, and they had pictures of Les Brown and his band renown all on the hall of albums on the hall. So they were in a state of shock. When I stepped out there, I was in Wildwood, Florida, where being black up there, you get a Chinese name called He Hang High. One of the things, man, is the sneaker, you got to think on your feet. And I remember looking in the back of the auditorium, and there was a sign that says, seize the hour. You have the power to live your dream. And when I saw that sign, it triggered something in me. I think that was the day I discovered my power voice. You know, it's been said that that adversity introduces a man to himself. And on that day, I decided there's something in me that's going to connect with their hearts, their minds, and their spirit. That's the day I discovered three-dimensional speaking, that when I spoke, that I was going to impact their mind, hearts, and their spirit. And when I get through, they will be standing on their feet, and they did. In fact, I'm glad I thought about this, because I've never sold that speech. I have it recorded, and it's in good quality. I'm going to give that as a gift. And those of you that's on this call, I want you to go to lesbrownmotivation.com, and there are a series of motivations there, motivational videos that I'm sending you absolutely free as my gift to life, because God has given me a new lease on life. He's given me grace to do something amazing with my life. Now, what I like to do, Eric, is it possible that they can ask me some questions?
Yeah, you know, we could, and how we could do this, if you're on the live webinar, if you want to type in the question feature, and it looks like we've had a few of you that have typed in to say hi, which is really cool. Joy's on the line, and Suzette's here, and Michael, and so forth. So if anyone wants to ask Les a question, you can go ahead and just type it in. Let's see here. Okay, Riley, are you wanting me to unmute you? You typed in a question here, and if you can just let me know, Riley. I see your. Okay, yeah, I'll go ahead and let me see if I can bring Riley onto the live call here. Let's see if I can find you here, Riley. Let's see here. There you are. Although, yeah, your phone doesn't look like it's. I'll try it, but I don't think you're live here, Riley. Let's see here. Yeah, it doesn't give me the option to unmute you. Yeah, let's go ahead and type it into the question feature. If let's see here. Phil wants to know, Les, what do you think of when you first wake up in the morning?
I'm thankful. I'm so grateful. For the past few years, pain would wake me up. And even then, the pain was an indication that I was alive and that I had another day to defeat cancer. And so I'm grateful when I first get up in the morning. I have a affirmation I say to myself: Lord, whatever I face today, together, you and I can handle it. And I believe that. I believe that there's a dimension in all of us that if we ask ourselves, if you had your life to live over again, could you have done more than what you have done? If we're honest with ourselves, we will say yes. And that part of ourselves that say yes, that's the real us. That's the true us. George Bernard Shaw, who was in his 90s when he passed, and he was an activist and one of the most brilliant leaders of his day, he was asked by a reporter, if you had in your power to be any leader throughout history, who would you like to be? And he said, I'd like to become the man that I never was. And on February the 17th, I turned 69. I used to think people in their 40s were old. And I am 69. I remember when I first opened for Dr. Norman Vincent Peale, and the newspaper read the next day, the grand old master and the young rising star. Now I'm the grand old master. And some people say that I'm pretty good at it. But here's what I believe, that I haven't done my best work yet, and I'm still here. And there's something for me to do, and that every day I raise the bar to myself. Every day I wake up thinking about how can I change and impact somebody's life today. How can I do that? I have more stuff on YouTube perhaps than any other motivational speaker. And they've called me and said, you know, you can file a lawsuit and get all of your stuff taken down so people are not watching your stuff free. I said, let me tell you something. All that I have, I receive. If people are going to be blessed, if somebody's going to be motivated and inspired, as I was when I met Mr. Washington, and he said, young man, work this problem out for me. I can't do that, sir. Why not? I'm not one of your students. I'm here to see MacArthur Stevens, sir. Look at me. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. What is it? Work the problem out. I can't, sir. And the other students started laughing, saying, he's Leslie. He's a twin. His brother is Wesley. His brother is smart. He's DT. What's DT? He's the dumb twin. And I said, I am, sir. I am. In frustration and tears in my face. And he came from behind his desk. And he said, don't you ever say that again. Someone's opinion of you does not have to become your reality. And I just eulogized him 2 weeks ago in Miami, Florida. And on that day, when he spoke to me, he changed my story. My mother used to say, Leslie, sticks and stones can break your bones, but words can never hurt you. Words can hurt you. Worse than sticks and stones. But Mama was not a communicator. He was a speech and drama teacher. On his the funeral program, it said the great communicator. He said, Leslie, develop your mind, practice OQP, only quality people, and develop your communication skills. Listen to Paul Harvey every day at lunchtime. I said, sir, why can't I eat in the cafeteria? You must be willing to do the things today others won't do. Pack your lunch. Eat it in my car. Listen to him. I said, why? He said, once you open your mouth, you tell the world who you are. You want to learn how to make yourself successful? You don't want to die in jail or in Liberty City or overtime? No, sir. I don't want to die in overtime or Liberty City. Good. Develop your mind, practice OQP, only quality people, and develop your communication skills. That will make you unstoppable. And he's absolutely right. And I say to those of you that's on this call, what Eric is doing, he's created a community of positive, achievement-driven, supportive relationships, achievement-driven relationships. And it will help to transform and retrain your thinking and give you the power to change your story. And it encourages you to develop your skill set. There's no shortage of opportunity. It's just a shortage of capacity to take advantage of the opportunities in this global economy. This is the best of times and the worst of times. And so this is a time that your mindset and exposing yourself to positive things and positive people and experiences of this nature, that it will begin to give you a vision of yourself beyond your circumstances and mental conditioning. One of the things that I did when they told me at Florida Hospital that I had a few months to live, I found every book that I could find and every article that I could find on cancer conquerors. Anybody who had cancer and beat it, I want to know who they were, what did they do. But I noticed something about myself and how I felt in my body, that it gave me strength. And I kept saying, if they can do it, I can do it. If they can do it, I can do it. I would go for walks, and every step I would take, I thank God I am healed. As I speak, my immune system is empowered and is producing powerful white blood cells that kill quickly and permanently every renegade cancer cell in my body. I thank God I'm healed. I read a book called Your Body Hears Everything That You Say, and so I monitored my conversation. I monitored my thinking. I trained my thinking of listening to positive things and studying psychoneuroimmunology and talking to people like Lauren Miller and John Garcia. He and I trained John as a speaker. He's a part of a study of 614 people with cancer. He's the only one living. And we know that it's mindset in addition to the stuff that he's also doing and what I'm doing. And I'm saying to you, whatever you're going through, listen to the words of Winston Churchill. If you're going through hell, don't stop. Keep moving.
All right, we got a couple more questions here, Les.
Okay.
Where are you in the country today?
I just finished speaking for the Malibu Mastermind with Stephen Sapini here in Treasure Island and Las Vegas. And I'm going to San Diego tomorrow to speak for Coldwell Banker.
Fantastic. Well, for everybody listening, just a couple of housekeeping things. So tonight's the kickoff. This is going to be a weekly call. It's every Sunday night at 9 o'clock California time. Every call we do is going to be recorded, so if you can't make it, you can watch it on the YouTube channel. You find all the information about this program at encouragementevening.com. There's a Facebook group for a community. The YouTube channel's there. And what's amazing about what I put together is it's all free. And something inspired me to do this because we're just going through some tough times right now. And I'm gifted with vision, and I want to help as many people as possible. So please help me spread the word, because you know people in your life, everybody you know, they need encouragement. So we're going to bring out world-class speakers week after week like Les Brown. Okay, so Jose from Brazil, he's on the live webinar. He just says, Eric and Les, just a feeling of gratitude for what you're doing and your testimonials. All right, Jose, thanks for the kind words.
Thank you.
Julia says, hi, Les. We met in January at Cal Poly Pomona. I was blown away by your message. What do you tell yourself to stay positive when others are trying to keep yourself moving forward and stay positive?
What she said, when others are doing what?
When others are they're trying to bring you down. You got a family member, you got a coworker, somebody who's, they're kind of trying to bring you down, and you want to stay positive. How do you deal with the people like that?
You minimize the time that you spend with them, and it's very important to understand and know what Mr. Washington said to me, that someone's opinion of you does not have to become your reality. Words are very, very powerful. There's a term in psychiatry called relational illness. If you're around people that are speaking toxic, negative words to you, make a choice to leave their presence, because my favorite book says death and life is in the tongue. It doesn't say life and death is in the tongue, because people speak more death than they do life. And so you don't engage them, you don't try and change them, because it's a full-time job changing yourself. I remember when I was engaged to a lady named Mildred, and she invited me to lunch with a friend named Rosalind. I did not know at that time that Rosalind was a psychiatrist in Detroit. She still practices. And so Mildred said, Les, tell Rosalind what you do. I said, well, I'm a motivational speaker, and I'm going to speak to corporations and organizations around the world. She said, name some of them: AT&T, Procter & Gamble, McDonald's Corporation, IBM, Xerox. She said, have you ever spoken for them before? No. I said, this is something I'm going to do. I'm a motivational speaker. So she said, what college did you attend? I said, I don't have any college. I said, in fact, I was labeled educable mentally retarded and put back from the 5th grade to the 4th grade. I failed again, and I was in 8th grade. And I think that that's going to make me stand out. She said, Mildred, can we go to the restroom for a minute? So this is true, man. Dr. Mildred Sanderson. She'll tell you. She's verified. I talked about this publicly, and she was in the audience, and she stood up and said, he's right. So Mildred came back after being in the restroom with Rosalind, and her eyes were red. She'd been crying, and I said, what's happening? And so at that time, Rosalind said, bye, Mr. Motivator. You take care. And she left. And so Mildred said, she said that you're suffering from delusions of grandeur, and that I would be unevenly yoked if I married you. And she broke off our engagement. She said, I had potential, but I didn't have any money. I was sleeping in my office on the 21st floor in the Penobscot building, bathing in the sink down the hall. and hiding in a closet when the janitorial staff came in to clean at night. Eric, 6 weeks later, Roger King of King World was drunk in a hotel, and I had just finished doing a series called It's Possible, It's Necessary, It's You, It's Hard, It's Worth It, It's Done. At the Church of the Day, a guy named Jack Boland was the pastor at that time. And they did an interview with me with the news that came out because I had thousands of people came out to be a part of this series to hear me speak. And he called me and said, he found me and said, I would like for you to do a talk show. And I said, I'm not the kind of guy who can do a Jerry Springer show. I said, I have to do something positive. And I'm not interested. And that's all the television is into now. And so he said, I'm going to send you something, and you're going to call me back. You will be interested. A few days later, I got a American Express, a FedEx package, and my secretary named Sue Burkhardt said, oh, my God, is this real? And I said, what is it? And she said, look. And it was a check for $2.5 million with Les Brown on there. He paid me $2.5 million. He offered me $5 million to do a talk show. This was in 1992, the same guy that promoted Oprah Winfrey. And so I accepted.
You were right. I'll take it.
Let me tell you what I did. I sent a limousine to pick up Mildred and had her brought down to it's a building that was built by General Motors. It's the tallest building in Detroit. I had a red carpet rolled out when she came out of the limousine, and I had rose petals sprinkled in front of her. I cannot, this name of this building, it escapes me right now. They brought her up there to the top of the building, and there's a restaurant that rotates. It goes around. And so when she came in, she saw me, and I had different roses there for her and different flowers. And so I said, order what you like. And finally, she couldn't hold it back. She said, what happened? And I had a Xerox copy of the check, and God is my witness. Restaurant's full, and people were already watching us because of all the flowers, and I had guys attending to us, and had white guys with white tuxedos who greeted her coming out of the limousine. She dropped down on her knees and said, can we get married now? It was a true story. I said, I have potential, but I don't have any money.
Oh, that is funny.
Oh, my God, this is true, man. Oh, man. Now, I tell you, man, if I died tonight, life does not owe me anything. I tell you, one of the things they have to do, don't bury me for 3 days and put a microphone in the casket. If I don't grab it and say, you got to be hungry, just say, he's gone now.
And one of the questions left for getting is the website again. You've given out, I think it was your website.
It's lesbrownmotivation.com. After I got the clean bill of health at Ohio State University by the neurosurgeon around 8 days ago, I just wanted to give out a gift, just what you're doing right now. This is a gift. Life is God's gift to us, and how we live our lives is our gift to God. You are a gift to people by just creating this forum. And I'm here. A lot of people prayed for me. A lot of people believed in me. A lot of people encouraged me. When I was going through some tough times, I was going out encouraging people, coming back to my hotel room, withering in pain. The odd thing was, whenever I speak, I was never in pain. It's only when I stopped speaking that the pain would come back. And I know it's because maybe the level of concentration. And so I said, what can I do to say thank you? And so I gave away some of my best work. In fact, my first video called You Deserve on PBS, they will get that free. I got a Chicago Emmy, a speech I gave in the Georgia Dome. It's not over till I win, speaking before 80,000 people. They will get that. They will get another video called It's Possible, where I'm speaking to 12,000 people in Chicago, a PBS special. They will get the 7 principles of storytelling, how I train people to use their stories strategically and experientially. How people live their lives is a result of their story they believe about themselves. And when we speak, what we do is distract, dispute, and inspire. We distract them from listening to their story, what psychologists call their self-explanatory style, and through the strategic execution of your story or a story, you dismantle their limited belief system, and experientially, you create an experience. We all have an energy signature that inspire them to make new choices. Oliver Wendell Holmes said that once a man or woman's mind has been expanded with an idea, concept, or experience, it could never be satisfied to going back to where it was. The reason that most speakers are not able to speak from the platform and change people's lives is because they have speeches that are driven and filled with a lot of information. If information could change people, everybody would be skinny, rich, and happy. The other thing that governs their thinking, that Dale Carnegie course, which is a great
I think we lost Les there. All right, I'll call him right back. We'll see if we can get him on to wrap up tonight. His phone may have died, but give me just a minute here, and I'll call him right back. All righty. Okay, we're back here. Les, we got a couple more thoughts to share with you guys, so Les, we'll turn it back over to you.
Yeah, we lost the signal. I mean, we're so hot that the lines could take the power. so let me share this with you, all of you listening, and hear me clearly on this. And I had to deal with this myself because I was looking at myself, and I've been dealing with the little C for 19 years. I said, when will this be behind me? And the reports were coming back, and they're getting worse and worse. But something said in me, don't stop fighting. Don't give in to this. Keep doing the right thing, working on yourself, maintaining the right attitude, making great nutritional choices, talking to people who beat this successfully. Claim the victory. Call forth those things that be not as though they were. And I'm saying to you, I don't know what you are going through right now. Here's what I know. And I don't know you, but based upon my own experience, I know this about you, that you have something special. You have greatness within you. Only certain type of people who know that in their hearts of hearts that gravitate to this kind of call. There's no accident that you're on this call tonight. That's number one. And I'm speaking to the higher consciousness in you. I believe that everything that we go through is for our growth and development. But I do feel sometimes like Mother Teresa. She said, Lord, I know you know how much I can bear. I just wish you didn't have so much confidence in me. So I know God's got a lot of confidence in me. But I tell you, when I go to the platform now, I mean, I'll kill a mosquito with an axe. I take no prisoners and eat the wounded. I'm so glad to be able to speak it, to be pain-free, and to have this good report, this new lease on life, to do something amazing with my life. And I'm so glad you called me about this, Eric. And so I'm asking you, those of you that are hearing me now in your heart of hearts, judge not according to appearances. At any minute, one call can change your life. At any minute, God can change everything for you. In a second, I'm telling you, in a second, things can change for you. I believe in miracles. I believe in angels. And I'm saying to you that this is a wake-up call, that there are moments in life, and and this is one of my favorite quotes, that we have a teeth-rattling experience, and the very foundation of our life has been shaken, and we run to God, only to discover that it's God that's doing the shaking. I'm saying to you that this is the defining moment, that you either define the moment or the moment defines you. You have something special. You have greatness within you. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
Les, thanks so much for kicking off.
It's my pleasure. Go to lessboundmotivation.com, lessboundmotivation.com, and download those videos. You won't get any communication from us about promotional stuff. I'm just giving stuff away. I got some more things that I'm going to have them digitized. I'm just giving them away. Because I'm cancer-free, I'm debt-free, and drama-free.
Les, thanks again. It was an incredible time. You know, anytime I've ever asked you for your support, you've always graciously given me your time or your mentoring or your coaching. And one thing that I've never told you, but I'm in my room right now doing this webinar, and I have pictures of the people that are mentors and heroes in my life. And one of the photos that it's in my hand right now, and it was when you and I had lunch together in Sacramento, and I had somebody take a picture. And so I framed that picture. That's the meaning that you have to me in my life. So thank you for all that you've done. You made a tremendous difference for me personally, and I want you to know I appreciate you.
Thank you so much, and I appreciate you, and you're going to be on the platform with me this year. Veronica, I told her again that you need to be there with me, and they're taking me to China, to India, and we're going back to Amsterdam and a few other countries. And so I said, I know you. This is your time. This is your time. And anytime I could be of any service to you, let me know. I believe in you. For those of you that are listening, he's a man that's very gifted, of great integrity, and has a passion for people. So whenever you need me, I'm just a phone call away. I'll be here. Thank you. You're my brother from another mother.
All right, Les. Thanks so much.
I hope people
everybody
call tonight, and tell them to keep me in their prayers and see me being cancer-free for the rest of my life. Thank you.
Thanks, Les. Good night, everyone.
Good night.